Hey, welcome to another episode of Local Marketing Beat, brought to you by Uberall, the only location marketing platform that connects your digital presence to revenue. Today, we're diving into the local strategy of a brand you've definitely known, you've definitely heard about. They've become a total icon in both fashion and everyday wear. And yeah, you already saw the title of this episode, so you know we're talking about Crocs. These days is all about, having global reach and a local touch, connecting what happens online and what happens in store. But first of all, welcome Amir to the show.
Thank you so much, Christian. I appreciate it. It's really, really good to be here.
So, I mean, obviously, my first question is, what are you wearing right now? But obviously, I know you're at home, so you're probably not really wearing it. But what's your usual go-to that you wear every day?
Yeah, there are some silhouettes that we are really excited about right now. And I come in phases, right? Like I've been with the organization for a couple of years now. And we always have some type of new exciting product that, everyone kind of gets excited about. And so you kind of see these phases where, the classic clog is kind of a staple, right? Everyone has a couple pairs of the classic clogs. We have a line of sandals that come springtime now. It's getting really nice and warm here in Denver. So the sandals are coming out, but we actually just recently released what's called the EXP line. Within that EXP line is a silhouette called the quiet clog. And it's kind of this, it certainly looks like a Croc, but it has this kind of understated streetwear kind of lifestyle edge to it. That's really cool. And so it doesn't have any holes. It's completely sealed up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of like a clog style mule. So it
Yeah.
works as a slipper. It works as, a get done with the gym shoe. It has so many forms and functions, and I'm really, really excited about it. And I'll tell you what, it is so comfortable. So when I'm walking around the house, I slip a pair of those on just to give my feet a break from from
Yeah.
the rest of the world.
That's awesome. I mean, and I'm not kidding, right? Like everybody that I talk to that are actually, Croc fans, they're diehard, right? There seems to be that very passionate, like I'm all about it. And what do you think is really like one of the primary things that maybe help Crocs get to that space, right? Get to that both digital but also in person, where it's that aficionado, right? That passion behind the brand.
100%. Yeah. And that passion goes two ways, right? There are so many people that just love Crocs as a brand, as a product, as a culture, right? We have
Mhm.
this kind of
Yeah.
come as you are mentality that is all about self-expression. It's all about creativity. It's all about fun colors and kind of, expressing your own personalization through your shoe, through your footwear. But then on the other side, there are so many people who are so passionately against Crocs. And that I think it's a funny brand to be a part of and to really get some insight into because never before have I seen anyone get so worked up about, in both directions, right? Either they love the brand, they hate the brand. It is so divisive. Um,
Yes.
and I think what it comes down to is that it's ultra unique, and there's this kind of authentic kind of passion within the brand for how unique of a product it is. As far as I've been following the brand and as far as I've been a part of the organization, we've never tried to be anything that we're not. Never tried to pivot into dress shoes. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think of a good example. But like we've never tried to be something that we're not. And with that, there comes this authenticity of, we are 100% Crocs. We are 100% who we are. Love us, hate us, love our products or not. We're going to be doing what we're doing. And it comes down to kind of that same mentality of come as you are. We want you to feel comfortable in your shoes, comfortable in your skin, comfortable with who you are. And sometimes that starts with a bright and colorful shoe. And if it's not for you, then, that's okay too. We don't
Yeah.
have to be for everyone.
Yeah, and so that's such a refreshing perspective, right? Because and nowadays we get so into the competition and like, what is my competitor doing? What is the other brand doing? And how can I catch up or get ahead? And you guys are playing your own game, right? Like you're like, well, we're on over here. Like you do your thing.
100%. Yeah. And it's funny, at some events and stuff like that, we'll run into the folks from Skechers or the Nike team or the Adidas team. And everyone has their own kind of version of,
Mhm.
oh, well, you guys are coming after us for sneakers. You guys are coming after us for, Birkenstocks, for clogs. And there's this funny kind of moment where I think a lot of the Crocs teammates, they kind of step back and say, oh, we obviously have kind of our finger on the pulse of what competitors are doing and what cool things are coming out of Nike and Adidas and Birkenstock and you name it. But I don't think we necessarily constantly like obsess about our direct competitors. Because you're exactly right. We're trying to just do our own thing. We're trying to craft really, really great experiences for our consumers, create silhouettes that meet a consumer need, right? Not
Mhm.
necessarily fit into a competitive market. And I think that that's something that's worked really well for us as a team. And something that I'm really passionate about, just as a person, is that we're trying to just solve problems.
Mhm.
Whether it be, hey, I want a great pool shoe, or hey, listen, I'm about to do ankle surgery and I need some type of shoe to help me get through that recovery period. It's big problems, it's small problems, it's everything in between. But we're focused on solving those problems first for our customers, and not worried about what anyone else is doing, not worried about what, competitors are thinking about or not thinking about.
Yeah, I think I have a great story to share, and I know I can share it because my dad can't speak English, so he's never gonna understand what I'm saying. But he used to be anti Crocs, like for many years. My brother was all into it, and so my brother, like 2 Christmas ago, got Croc pairs for everybody in the family. Right, the exact same shoe, same color for everyone. My dad hated his gift. Right, he's like, I'm never wearing this. And then so he had a little accident on the stairs, or hurt his ankle, and then for almost a year, that's the only shoe he was able to wear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, he fell in love with it now, right? Like now he gets it. But it was such a like to your point, it's like it's not just like on the fashion side, it really is solving a problem.
Yeah, and what it comes down to is like we need to take care of our feet the same way that we take care of the rest of our bodies. And there's so much time and attention spent on, shirts that feel good, that fit well,
Right.
that serve some type of alternate purpose, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's, staying at home, that sort of thing. There's so much time and attention. And then, even when you kind of stretch that out a little further and you look at like the health and wellness space and you say, oh man, there's knee braces and ankle braces galore out on the market. There's every vitamin you could possibly imagine. There's green juice, there's smoothies. The way we take care of ourselves as humans is, a broad and diverse kind of set of skills and techniques.
Mhm.
But when it comes to footwear, it's socks and shoes. That's kind of it. They're certainly devices. They're certainly, you know, kind of stuff that you can put on, various things that you have going on with your feet, but it comes down to socks and shoes. And sometimes, if you just get a nice, comfortable, well-fitting pair of shoes, it can make a huge difference in your life. From
Yeah.
back pain to, you name it. And Crocs is a really, really great product for exactly that.
That's very cool. Now, I know that Crocs has global presence, a bunch of different countries around the world. And I am just very curious to hear what is your take or your perspective on like how do you make them feel authentic and relevant to local markets? Because like when I go to Europe, obviously I see shoes and footwear that is very different than what I see here, right? Because we're all about the sneakers and all of that craziness over here in North America, but I don't feel like that when I walk into a Croc store, right? It doesn't feel like, "Hey, this is not local," or, "Yes, this is very local. This is only US."
I get kind of a glimpse of some of that process, right? And so coming from the SEO side, I technically sit on the Crocs North America side.
Okay.
But I have the unique opportunity, and honestly, it's a blessing to be able to see what the other sites and regions are doing from a global perspective. So what I think works really, really well in these global markets is two kind of components. The first is we never try and be anything else, right? So we
Mhm.
never try and shift towards, oh, we're going to become kind of this European footwear experience.
Right.
We are Crocs, and we are who we are. And again, the kind of European customer may or may not love us for various reasons, but we try and kind of meet them where they want to be met.
Hmm.
So especially with customers in Europe, customers in APAC, customers in rest of world, kind of these various regions that we talk about internally, the problems seem to be pretty similar. The
Right.
needs are a little bit different, right? So the problems that we're looking to solve are all pretty much the same. They're very human. They're very authentic to the human experience. But the way that they kind of manifest is a little different. So in places like EMEA, for example, weather's a little more unpredictable, a little rainier. You have a lot of variety within kind of the EMEA space. So you have kind of tropical climates all the way up north towards, kind of the
Mhm.
colder and more wet climates. And so, yeah, we need to be able to kind of tell the story of how our products can be used in different ways, whether that be, water resistance or the ability to not have to be standing in a puddle, right? Because we have these aeration holes that let air and water out. Those sorts of stories kind of become key to changing the scene as we move from region to region, where the products remain the same, but the way that they're kind of meeting that need is a little bit different. And I think the second component to that is trying to understand the community that we're in.
Mhm.
So, we've opened a number of locations and kind of regions across the world over the last few years, and we've been growing rapidly, and it's been really exciting. And one of the first things that every one of those regional teams does is find out what's going on in that community, what's important to them. How does our classic clog silhouette and our various other products, how do they fit into that community? And, is there a way that we can make a difference within that community with our products? And, so far the answer is always yes, and that's great.
Mhm.
But I love that we ask that question first before
Right.
we enter a new region because we want to make sure that we're doing good in that community and doing good for
Yeah.
that region.
You're not just coming in and imposing. It's like this is how we do it in North America. So this is our store, right?
Exactly. You know what? And I think there's this mentality in other industries, like the tech world comes to mind, where suddenly, it's this new technology. Well, you have to be using it because everyone in America is using it and that sort of thing.
Right.
And it doesn't feel authentic to that community. Um,
Mhm.
for us, we have styles and collaborations that come out of Japan that we never see here in the US. And that's
Wow.
cool and exciting. And there's this hype associated with that too. Where, there could be like a Japanese streetwear collaboration that happened in Japan that the US gets lots of hype around and suddenly,
Mhm.
they're saying, "Oh, bring that to the US, bring that to North America," that sort of thing. And so it's even like we have these collaborations that are kind of speaking to the soul of whatever region that is. Um, but it brings into kind of this global mentality where everyone gets excited about a really cool collaboration, a really cool colorway, whatever
Yeah.
that might be. And so yeah, so you're absolutely right. We try not to impose any one style, any one kind of solution on any one region. And it's more about just driving excitement,
Yeah.
and driving that hype, and letting it work where it works, rather than trying to shoehorn it in somewhere that doesn't.
I'm super curious to ask you about how do you use this curiosity, right? How do you drive it through search? Like, how do you approach it for found and be chosen, knowing that, brand awareness, almost everybody knows about it, whether you like it or love it or hate it, right? At least you heard about it. So I'm sure you're not approaching it as like, comfortable shoes near me, right? So
Right.
what is that mentality like? What's your approach that you're seeking on the search side?
So for the organic search side, we have kind of two main pillars of strategy that we're focusing on right now. The first is trying to describe the kind of the benefits of every silhouette. Even the classic clog that people are so familiar with,
Mhm.
I think people may not really know all of the kind of components of that shoe that are really exciting and really interesting. Things like personalization.
Yeah.
There's gibbet holes that are personalizable within the classic clog. There are also holes on the straps that can add another layer of personalization. And in addition to that, we have like other layers of personalization that you can stack on top of that. So there's so much personalization that can be done even outside of the color of the shoe, even outside of the shirts themselves. There's just so much place to really make that product your own. And so focusing on those pros, some of those benefits of each silhouette, even beyond the classic clog, is where we want to start. And then the second is almost like sub-brand awareness, where we have a whole line of sandals, things that don't look like Crocs at all, that I think just people just don't know about. And I saw this funny article that was like, it was like CNBC was talking about how Crocs has really grown and has done really well over the last few years. And the comments on it were just so divisive. And there was one comment that really stood out to me. And he was saying, I really just don't understand how people can think that the Crocs clog is not an ugly shoe. It's the ugliest shoe I've ever seen. I would never wear it. It's got those ugly holes and it's got this horrible shape and kind of on and on. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, this guy only thinks of us as the classic clog. He doesn't know that we have these sandals, that we have, these other clogs. I mean, the quiet clog is a great example. It doesn't look like a Croc. So yeah, I mean, I think that there's this opportunity, especially from organic search, to be able to represent to our consumers that, hey, we're more than the classic clog. We have these other lines that I think you'll get a lot of excitement around. And again, they serve a similar purpose. They have a lot of the same benefits as our classic clog. If they're made from the same EVA material that's ultra durable, ultra easy to clean, water resistant, et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't look like a Croc. We're actually working on a style guide right now that it's literally titled "The Crocs Buying Guide for People Who Hate Crocs."
And that is such a good name.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. It's if you hate Crocs, here are the Crocs that you might like. And so I think that's kind of the two components: is making sure that we consistently remind our customers of the benefits of our products, and then try and broaden their horizons a little bit into, hey, listen, we're more than just the classic clog. We have sandals, we have boots, we have, streetwear inspired styles, we have sneakers, stuff for sports. I mean, you name it. So yeah, that kind of 2-pillar approach is where we're headed right now.
You guys have such a variety of products that I was not even aware. This is starting to feel like Crocs 101 for me. Like it's great. I love it.
100%. And I think that with any footwear brand, there's kind of, you said at the very beginning, there's the iconic style. Nike has the Air Force One. Birkenstock has what is it, the Boston clog, right? Everyone has their iconic style that kind of dot them on the map. Crocs, for sure, it's the classic clog. But with any one of those other competitors, those other really, really great footwear brands, they have more to them than just their icon. And yeah, sometimes it's just about getting the word out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously at a global level, right? You're trying to position all these products. How do you translate, or what is your strategy to bring it down to local SEO, right? To how do you drive people from the website looking at products? What's that customer experience like to get them into a store?
Yeah, 100%. So there's a couple of strategies that we use on site. The first is kind of descriptions of what to expect when you first put that silhouette on.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like size guide 2.0, right? So it's, hey, listen, this is a men's 9, for example, but it fits a little tight or it fits a little loose. It's for kind of a wider foot. We have some call outs on site that says, hey, you should size down on this particular silhouette. There's a lot of room in the front and back just based on kind of how that silhouette is styled. And then alongside that, we have this store locator experience that's really easy to find and easy to access. And again, the kind of the point being, if you don't believe us, right? Like, or if you're not really ready to commit to a certain size, come check us out in store.
Yeah.
likely have a store near you that you can come try these on, and really get a feel for what the product is. And I think, I've been in the e-commerce world for a really long time now, and I think that that's kind of gone away where there's so many brands out there that are just, selling shirts, selling sweaters, and they say, oh yeah, it's 40% cotton and 20% viscose and whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. And there's no explanation or even an expectation of the brand to say, this is what that actually feels like. You know?
Right. Sounds like, you come from the e-commerce space, which is super easy, or let's say simple to track revenue, right? You can track your ROI, your ad spend. You can track your return on organic, right? Very, very simple. From your point of view, how can SEO, local SEO, be connected to revenue and try to attribute something?
Yeah. So it's become more challenging as the years go by, right?
Mhm.
I think that there used to be pretty strong attribution, and even the way that consumers were digesting some of this content was a little more straightforward. You would
Yeah.
search for a product, you'd click on a product, you'd buy a product. That path to conversion was pretty straightforward in the past. I think as time has gone by and as consumers have become a little more informed, there's evolution to that. And so with that, we try and think of attribution in kind of two forms. The first being, how much does organic search contribute to, traffic acquisition, right? We know what our on-site conversion rates are. We know kind of what like our revenue run rate is per product
Mhm.
by silo and that sort of thing. And so purely from a contribution perspective, how many new eyes can we get on site from an organic traffic source?
Mhm.
Knowing full well that they might bounce and come back via another channel, that
Right.
they might stay on site, they might sign up for email updates or text updates and come back another day, right? Like their their acquisition as a user is maybe not consistently coming from organic search, and that's okay, right? Like it's just a brand touch point. So traffic acquisition kind of being that first metric that we care a lot about. And then the second is we try and have kind of a rough understanding about contributions to conversions. So back in the Google Analytics days before GA4, we had this like multi-touch report that you could look at. And I think back to that, at least in concept, to be able to say, this is how much organic search contributed to that purchase.
Mhm.
Because this particular, you know, unanonymized user can be identified as coming from organic search, left the site, came back via paid search ad, maybe left
Right.
the site again, came back via paid social, and then ultimately converted. And so organic search maybe had a 10% contribution to that particular purchase. Um,
Gotcha.
that's harder and harder as we
Yeah.
go into this kind of new cookieless experience, and as platforms like Google Analytics and Omniture have taken some of that attribution data out, and stripped it more and more. But I think for us, we still try and kind of craft that on the back end to be able to say, how much does organic search contribute to that,
Mhm.
to that purchase? And that's true for every channel. Whether it be in-store purchases, whether it be,
Yeah.
customer loyalty, wholesale, right? We have a number of partners out there, whether they be Amazon, DSW, Famous Footwear, you name it. They're selling Crocs products out there. And so for us, we just need to kind of do the right things by our consumer first.
Mhm.
So from an organic search perspective, would I love everyone to search Croc sandals, click on a product
Yeah.
page and buy today? Sure, I would love that. That would probably make my job and my life very, very easy. But I know that consumers don't always do that. And so like a perfect answer that we actually just heard from senior leadership this week, I had asked the question of, hey, in a perfect world, where do we want our consumer to engage with us?
Mhm.
Is there like a preferred channel? Is there a preferred path? Do we want everyone coming through .com, through the in-store? What does it look like? And the answer that senior leadership gave me was really cool. And it was, we want to meet consumers where they want to be met.
Hmm.
So if that's in store, great. If that's at Amazon, great. Wherever it is that they want to be met, we want to meet them there, and we want to meet them with a consistent experience. And so that's why, like, the brand experience that we have on site matches what we have in store. The way that we present divots and personalization options on site is the same as in store. The same with like kiosks in various partners, right? Like DSW has like a whole kind of cart worth of gibbets in their stores and their individual locations. And that matches what you see in a Crocs store, and that matches what you see on site. And there's this kind of holistic brand experience that's really, really cool. And so I'm trying to remind myself of that, of meet the
Yeah.
consumer where they want to be met, because it could be anywhere. And if it's organic search, great. If it's somewhere else, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Um,
And to make it more complicated, right? Let's throw in their AI search, right? Because this is a new thing. This keeps evolving, but it's changing the consumer behavior very rapidly, right? So if I jump on Google AI overviews, or the new one that they're testing, Google AI mode, or you go to ChatGPT, right? And I ask, hey, I'm looking for a Crocs near me, or which Crocs would fit me better, right? Like, here's my height, here's my weight. How are you preparing? How are you thinking about what's coming on AI search?
Yeah, so we're doing some exciting things. We have an AI team in-house, that
Nice.
is kind of managing this whole process, and being really thoughtful and intentional about, what types of AI experiences that we want to integrate into the brand. And the intentionality behind that, really means a lot to me, because I think I've seen a lot of brands that have tried to jump on that trend, maybe a little too early. And as a result, the experiences are kind of sloppy. And so, yeah, with that, some of it is just getting the answers out there. So
Yeah.
LLM models like ChatGPT, like Gemini, like Cloud, they need the information to be able to answer users' questions. And so getting things like style guides stood up, getting things like pros and cons for every product, that sort of thing, where, excuse me, we're trying to make the LLMs model, the LLM models, we're trying to make their job a little easier,
Yeah.
to be able to understand what each product is, what the pros and cons are, what the size, fit, and function is like. And then if that's not enough, to point both the LLMs and users alike towards the direction of an in-store experience. And
Right.
say, well, hey, listen, try it for yourself. Don't just take our word for it. And so yeah, so I think that there's a level of informative content that needs to happen from every brand to be able to feed the beast, right? To kind of feed platforms like
Mm.
ChatGPT the information they need to answer those questions.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about data, right? It's really training those LLMs on becoming pros on your products, on your brand. Not that LLMs need to be a second Amir, but they have to know halfway there what you know, right? In order for them to then provide the answer to the user.
Yeah, and you know, the idea is that it's a smart, dumb computer, right? It
Right.
only knows what you tell it.
Yeah.
And so you got to tell it the right things. You got to tell it everything. And some stuff that's always been thought of as like, oh, that's just an internal story. Things like design process,
Hmm.
right? Like, I think it would be a really cool story to walk through, users from start to finish of, hey, this is how we designed this particular product, and here's all of the thought that went into it. I think that that's great for users to understand, and it's really great for LLMs to understand, because they love that. They love that data. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think, and consumers will kind of shift in that direction too. They want that data. They want to be able to, understand the design choices. They want to understand, why does it look like that? Why is it so ugly? Right? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason that that shoe is so ugly. There probably is. And ChatGPT might be able to help us answer those questions.
Yeah, that's such a great insight. I mean, I can definitely think about a couple of conversations that I would have with ChatGPT to try to convince me, right? Maybe I'm on the fence. It's like I'm trying to figure out, like, are these shoes for me or not? What do you think? And I go back to, because I keep testing all these variables, right? Where, like, I give it as much context about me as I can, so the answer is as best as possible. So I can definitely see like, hey, this is my height. These are the outdoor activities I do. I work from home, right? Like all these things. Like, which shoe do you think would fit? Well, the only way to give me the right answer is if it's trained on all things Crocs.
Yeah, you know, and we have things like durability to boot. So rather than say, "Hey, Christian, you know, you're an avid runner and hiker, and you love to go to the pool in the summer," um, rather than buy 4 pairs of sneakers that you're going to burn through every few months, you know, in your daily run at the end of the workday. Hey, here's a sneaker that's going to perform in the same way that like a running shoe does, but it's going to have the durability of a Croc that you're basically going to buy one shoe for the rest of your life, you know, and it's going to be holding up the whole time. And also, along with that purchase, you can get a really nice pair of sandals to wear at the pool. And you can get a hiking shoe that's designed exactly for hiking out in the woods and in the mountains. And so I think what it comes down to is as Crocs employees, we know that we can live our whole life with like 4 or 5 shoes and do everything we possibly want to, right? Every season, everything we want to do from hiking to running to, you know, being at the beach. So sometimes it's just about connecting that with users who don't know that yet, that have probably bought 10, 20, 30, maybe hundreds of shoes,
Yeah.
and realizing, oh man, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on shoes that are just not meeting the need that we need.
100% agree with you. But I just want to say, thank you so much for your time, for all these insights, for letting us look behind the curtain of what's the strategy like, what is the way that you guys approach it, the perspective and the thinking. I would really like for you to, invite people to come check out, whether it's a store or a website. So how can people connect with Crocs? And maybe they're on the fence, maybe they're on the not so loving side of things. What do you recommend for them? And then for the ones that are, absolute lovers, anything that you can say to our audience?
Yeah, 100%. So I would say come to crocs.com. We have, you know, so many cool products, so many cool silhouettes, so many cool collaborations and licensed products in the works. We have a lot of exciting stuff coming through the rest of this year. So come check us out. Even if you hate us, come check us out. You know, you can put in the search bar on the site like Amir sucks and I hate Crocs. I'll see it eventually, and you know, I'll know it was you. But yeah, come check us out. I mean, we do a lot of cool things, and like I said, you know, we're all about you know, coming as you are, and being true to who you are, whether that's a personalized pair of classic clogs, or a real simple non-croc looking sandal. It's all about what you need and being able to meet the consumer where they need it. And so yeah, so and as far as kind of the SEO world, it's changing so quickly. And I think that every brand is going to have to remind themselves of who they are as an SEO, who they are as a brand, and kind of get back to their roots, as the industry and kind of the search world evolves around them. That's something that we can stay stable with,
Mhm.
and find kind of stability within, is just being true to yourself as a brand and being true to yourself as an SEO. And if any of this stuff has you know, spurred more questions, more interest, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm around, you know, find me via my full name, find me via Crocs, you know, you name it. Here to help anyone and everyone as a resource.
Awesome. Thanks again for your time for being here and rocking this episode. And thank you also for everybody watching this episode, making it this far into this episode. It was a great conversation. If you want to learn more about LLMs, AI, SEO, things like that, go check out our new Uberall Academy. It just launched last week. So we're super excited. There's certifications and there's a bunch of courses coming. So go check it out at academy.uberall.com. And with that, I'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye.